Hey guys, I'm just going to do a quick unboxing the Thermomix with you. Just in case I'm not able to come around and do one in person, this is another option. So you're going to get your Thermomix out, get it on the bench where it's going to live, get all of your bits and pieces out as well, and then you're going to turn the Thermomix on with the silver button. You'll notice there's some blue stickers on the arms and a screen protector, so take all those off, and then we're going to turn it on. It will load up and it will have some safety briefing information on there. So you'll just click through those and accept all of those, and then you'll be able to log in to your Wi-Fi and your Cookie Do account on here. So once that is all done, which should be fairly straightforward, but if you have any issues with that, you can touch base. Once that's all done, you'll have your Thermomix and all your bits and pieces here ready to go. The first thing I like to show people is taking the lid off, and this little bit here is called the MC. So a little wiggle and it will come out. The MC in recipes, or measuring cup, because it's a 100ml measure, and you'll see recipes might say for you to have the MC on or the MC off. If the MC is off, often it will have the steaming basket on top instead. So your steaming basket is this one. And then you've got your varoma here. So varoma and the tray and the lid. Your lid will be grey. I have an old lid. So there we go. And your varoma is for steaming. So sometimes you'll be using varoma temperature, but you're not actually using the varoma on top. But a recipe will tell you whether you need to put the varoma on top or whether you're just using varoma temperature. Generally, if you're using varoma temperature without the varoma, you'll often have the basket on top. Anything with a bit of heat to it will usually have this basket, just to let a bit more steam out. You also have the splash guard. So the splash guard, again, a recipe will tell you if you need the splash guard, and the splash guard is only used for high heat, so when you're browning onions and things like that, and it will tell you when to pop that on. You've got your butterfly. So your butterfly pops in on top of the blades there. So you can see there's a higher blade, and you pop this one in behind the higher blade, and it will kind of lock on there. So you can see it takes a bit of effort to actually get that off. If you put it onto the wrong side, there's just a bit more movement in there. I mean, it's probably still going to work, but it might pop off, and you don't really want that to happen because you don't want to get it all tangled up in there. The other thing is you need to make sure you're not going above speed 4 on here, and it does actually say on there, I don't know if you can read it on there, but it says on there max speed 4. So you just don't want to go above speed 4, because anything above speed 4 is chopping, and you don't want to chop it up. Your little steaming basket has this lid, and you'll use that for things like, there's some rice recipes where it's using that. There's sometimes when you're cooking mince, you might pop it in there just to stop it from getting blended up. Your spatula actually has a little hook on here that can hook into your basket to get your basket out. So you're still able to open your lid with that on, and that way you can use it to tip things out of your basket. Your spatula also has a little angle in it to get right into the edges there when you're going around in your bowl. And it also has the collar on it, so that when you have your lid on, you can pop this in and it's not going to hit the blades, because the collar is going to stop it from going all the way in. The next things we want to talk about is how to get your base off. So when you get a brand new Thermomix, the base is really stiff because it's brand new. It's going to take a little bit to get it to loosen up, just to make it easier to get on and off. This whole thing can go in the dishwasher, but I do recommend you always take it apart to do your dishwasher, just because dirty water will get up into your base and it's just gross. So your blades are going to be sharp, so just be really careful. But we're just going to grab onto the little knob on the top of the blades and hold the blades like that, because when you release the base, the blades are going to drop out. So you can just pop your little finger into here and just pivot like so, and that will come off. And then obviously we've got this little locking clip here that just prevents you from popping it back into its base without the blades in. And you can close it back on. So I find it easiest to do that. If you have any mobility issues and you're finding it hard to do with one hand, what you can do is pop a tea towel down on your bench, pop your blade down, and that way you can use two hands and your blades will drop down onto the tea towel, so they'll be nice and safe. So that's another option if you're finding it too tricky to do one-handed, but it loosens up really quickly. So it won't take long and it will just come off nice and easy. I actually find now mine's loose, I can just push on that little spot there too. All right, so the next things we're going to go through is just on the screen here. So you've got a time, a temperature and a speed setting. So whenever you're cooking, you have to set your timer first because it won't heat up unless your timer is counting down. That's just a safety feature. So you can set your time, your temperature on here and your speed. All your recipes for Thermomix will be set out in that way with your time, temperature and speed telling you what you need to set it to. Obviously there is the option if you're using a recipe from CookieDo where it will automatically pre-populate all of those for you. So if we open up, I've got an apple cake here. You go to start your recipe. It's going to tell you to preheat your oven. You just press next. Tells you to grease your baking pan. Press next. Tells you to peel your apples and cut them. You press next. Shows you a little video here on how you're going to slice your apples so that you're actually able to make sure you're doing it exactly as the recipe needs you to. Then you can press next. It says to pop your apples aside. And now it's turned your scales on automatically and it's asking you to pop in your butter. So you would just pop the butter in and your scales will automatically weigh that for you. You just press next, it's asking for your eggs. You press next, it's asking for your sugar. Again, it's teared those scales off, ready to go. Press next. This is brandy that's optional. Your plain flour, again, scales on. Your baking powder, scales on. Your salt, it tells you to pop the lid on. It's telling you to put the MC or the measuring cup into the lid. Press next, and it has set the time for 20 seconds and it's showing you on the dial where to turn it to. So it also says here, turn to speed 6. So it's very, very in-depth on making sure you know exactly what you're having to press and where you're going with it. So that is all of that. I'm just going to pop back out of that recipe. So when you get out of the recipe, if you saw then, I pressed the home screen and it's actually bookmarked the recipe for you. But we don't need that because we're not going to continue cooking that. So we can just go out and there we go. The other things it's got in here is you've got your recipes that you've saved. So if you've had a look on CookieDo and you've bookmarked some recipes, saved some recipes, made your own little collections, I've got one that's called Dinners I Want to Try and Baked Goods I Want to Try and things like that. So you can kind of add them all into your different collections. You've got a My Week, so this will actually populate your meal plan that you've made for the week. You've also got in here recently cooked, so the things that you cook often, you'll be able to pull that up and be able to go back to the recipes. And it's also got your safety instructions in here as well. So the instructions that you had at the start when you went through those, if you forget any of them and you want to see them again, you can go in there. So the next thing I usually get people to do is the vegetable stock paste. Now the vegetable stock paste, I always say that's the best first recipe to do just because it's something that a lot of recipes will ask for. So it's like a stock cube, but it's all natural, you know exactly what's in it, and the flavour is definitely way better. So we can type in here, vegetable stock, and search. Now, when you are searching on here, you can change your filters so that it's all English recipes. I think the default filter when you get your Thermomix is just for Australian recipes. but you can change it so it's worldwide recipes in English, or if you know any other languages, you can include those, or you can use Google Translate to translate them on your phone so that you can still cook them on here. So this has the vegetable stock paste here, and basically all we're going to do is pop your vegetables in. So it's asking for your celery, your carrots, your onion, your tomato, your zucchini, your garlic, bay leaf, all your herbs. You can use dried herbs if you don't have fresh. And then you're just going to chop them for 10 seconds. And you can use your spatula in there if you find you need a little bit of help to get them chopped up. You're going to scrape it all down with your spatula as well. And then add in your rock salt. So the rock salt is a preservative and it's going to keep it lasting in your fridge for 6 months. If you do want to drop the salt down, you'll have to freeze it in an ice cube tray, so you can just use like a cube at a time. But if you keep the full salt in it, you can also freeze it just in one jar, and it won't freeze solid because of that salt content. So it means you can just scoop it straight out of the jar. So the easiest way is have the full salt in there, or at least 100 grams of salt. Pop it in a jar in the freezer. You're going to add some olive oil and again blend it up, and then you're going to be cooking it for 20 minutes, 120 degrees, and it's got it there to speed 1. So it's going to smell amazing while it cooks, and while it's cooking you can go through cookie dough for 20 minutes. You can kind of just chill out, tidy up, and at the end it's going to say keep your measuring cup in, and you're going to blend it gradually up to speed 9, and it's going to make a puree. So it's going to be really nice and smooth. Pop it in your jar. Another little tip that I have is when you're popping it in your jar, you can use your lid. I'm just going to grab a little, pretend this is a jar. Use your lid as a little funnel, so you can actually pour into this and the lid's going to catch any drips. So that's my little pro tip for that. The other things that you're going to do with it is obviously you can use your functions on here. So you've got your scales if you need those. There's the Thermomix sensor is a little temperature probe that you can get if you would like. There's chopping, there's the dough mixing. Turbo is like the pulse on a food processor. There's the pre-clean, which is what you'll probably use after you finish cooking and taking your stock out. You can pop into pre-clean and you can choose which option you want with a little bit of water, and it will do a little bit of a pre-clean for you before it goes in the dishwasher, or you can wash it up by hand and get started on another recipe. You've also got in these functions an egg boiler mode, a kettle mode, warm up. All of these options, when you go into them, it will actually have a little information symbol here, and it will show you exactly how to use these things. So if you're not sure, you can choose that little information option. Otherwise, you can touch base with me and we can go through how to use them. There'll also be all these other ones: thicken, rice cooker, fermentation for yogurts. There's a slow cooker option, a sous vide option, peeling, if you've got the blade cover / peeler option, which if you've got the best ever deal, it should have that in there, and your grating, slicing and spiralizers as well. So all of those have information on how to use them as well. There's also in here, you've got your, in your settings, you can see that you've got your Wi-Fi set up, your cookie dough account set up. You can change your sounds and display as well, so you can be in dark mode. You can also change it so that how long the little sound goes for when it's finished, and whether it will automatically stop or keep going. And there's just some other little things with like your keyboard layout. You can change your system of measurements. If you're using, instead of using metric, you can go to imperial if you prefer that. And there will probably be an update when you first open it up as well, so it should be fully updated, but there's also the option to check for updates in there as well. I don't know if you guys can, you probably can hear, we've got Grayson's helping today. He's being very vocal today. But yeah, so that is the general unboxing of your new Thermomix. And if you have any other questions around that, you can touch base with me and we can go through it. But I hope that helps.